Hello, my name is Allison Carmen, and welcome to my podcast, 10 Minutes to Less Suffering. And the name of today's podcast is You Don't Have to Move On, You Have to Move Forward. And the reason why this has been on my mind lately is I just passed the 5-year anniversary of my husband leaving me. And when something like that happens in your life, when you have heartache or you have an upset, you could lose your job, you could have a problem, someone hurt you, all the people around you, your friends and family, through an act of loving you, they'll constantly tell you you have to move on. You can't sit in this, you can't sit in the past, you can't sit in the heartache. But often that's not the cycle of healing. That's not the cycle of going from a wound to wisdom. Because the cycle of moving on often has to do with initially feeling the experience that you're having. And sometimes that could be crushing. Sometimes that could be devastating. And then the next part often is an awareness of what you're feeling and an awareness of what happened. And then eventually the feelings and the awareness lead you to work on things possibly about yourself while you're trying to accept the situation. Sometimes we find that we're having trouble accepting it because we love the person and there's heartache, but sometimes there's low self-worth. Sometimes there are negative belief systems. So in that cycle of healing, we might have the epiphanies of heartache, but also things that need to be healed from a long time ago. And then as we start healing and we start accepting, the pain can start to subside and there can be a renewal. But this is often a cycle. But there's one thing that I did notice even when I was in this cycle of healing, that even though I couldn't exactly move on like everybody around me wanted, I could always move forward. And that's the most important piece to remember. Moving on can be forcing ourselves, but moving forward is a flow. It's a natural act because life, every moment, every breath, every tomorrow is a flow of moving forward. And so even though we're stuck in our pain, life is offering us every moment that movement. And that movement matters because that movement is part of the healing. It makes the cycle go quicker. It makes us find new things in our life. So as we're circling these feelings and the awareness and the acceptance, we're also letting new things in if we're moving forward. And of all the things I did after my husband left, I always moved forward. Some days in the beginning, moving forward was just ordering myself a nice meal. I didn't feel good enough to cook. I didn't feel good enough to do much. But there was something about getting a nice meal for myself that was nourishing. It might sound so simple, but that was moving forward. Showing up for my children, for me, was moving forward. I was able to work and take new business opportunities. For me, that was moving forward. And did I collapse at the end of the day and hide in my bed? Yes. Did I stay in bed every weekend? Yes. But I really tried to keep saying yes, even when I was uncomfortable. I tried to work on myself. I tried to allow life to move me as I was going through the cycle. And that is the most important thing. You can't force moving on. You can't numb it away. You can't sleep it away. Because if you do, then whatever happened will always stay with you. There's something about the cycle. There's something about time that you need to actually heal a wound. It's actually like a wound you might get on your finger or your arm. First, you see the tenderness of the skin. You might bleed. And then you clean it out. Then you put a Band-Aid on it. And you see over time it scabs. And eventually the scab falls off. That's the same thing with heartache. That's the same thing with disappointment. That's the same thing when we feel crushed and we have to be patient with it. If you force the heart too quickly to move on, you're going to either repeat it, you're going to hold on to it, and you might not secure that wisdom that's yours for the taking, that's yours for the living. We become wiser. We become elevated. We become more whole, more embodied when we're able to take the things that break us, the pain, the suffering, and even the laughter and the highs and the wonderful things, when we're able to take that and get a deeper understanding of life, a deeper understanding of the flow, a deeper understanding of love, a deeper understanding of who we are. When you crack, you get to know you. You get to see what you're made of. And if you move on too quickly, you miss that. You miss the opportunity to really feel a sense of self. And with that sense of self, rise up, create new opportunities, figure out what your dreams are, come back from whatever caught you, and live deeper, live brighter, live in a way where you touch the light. But every day you have to find a way to inch forward. Don't ever give up. Don't ever be deceived that the day after life looks the same. It's not. I think back on the day after he left. And if you were to ask me, were you moving forward that day? I would have said no. But looking back, over a 5-year period, of course I was moving forward because I was trying every day. I was being honest every day. I was hurting every day. But I was allowing the light to shine on my face, and I hope the same for you. Don't worry about moving on. Don't worry about jumping into a new relationship. You're not out of time. Don't worry about the rush. Just know that if you could surrender to this, if you could commit to the process, and you could inch forward as life is inviting you to, you will find your way. But you have to stay with it. You have to stay on the path, because it's not even the pain that gets us. It's the negativity. We can feel pain and still be hopeful. It's not the suffering. It's not the pain. It's us turning our back on ourselves. It's us believing life can't change. It's allowing the negative to sink us. It's allowing the doom to sink us. And I guess because I had maybe, even though I couldn't totally feel it in my heart, I knew that if I didn't know what was going to happen next, new things would happen. And maybe that's why I welcomed every day, because I knew that the pain I was feeling was so great that perhaps the sunlight would soothe my soul. Perhaps an opportunity would soothe my soul. Perhaps something funny would soothe my soul. Whatever it was, I didn't allow the negativity to overtake me, even though the pain was a lot. So whatever you're suffering, if it's heartbreak, a job loss, a disappointment with a friend, look at it, acknowledge it, sit with it, process it. Say, I'm willing to let this wound turn into wisdom. I'm willing to open my heart to life again. I'm willing to move forward today in any way life is offering me. And I promise you, day by day, step by step, through the process and through the moving forward, you will find your way. You will heal your wound. You will become wiser. Your dreams will once again be possible. The heart heals, new love comes in again. There's always a new job. Your child has another opportunity. You can find your way. And I know this because uncertainty says it's true. And I know this because you can't know that things are not going to work out. And you can't know that things are not going to get better. All you can know is here you are with the hope and possibility that maybe you're going to find your way, that maybe life's going to get better, that maybe you could find a way to be okay. That maybe what's ever happening, there's a lesson, there's wisdom, and there's something waiting for you. And you don't need to worry about whether the best is happening or you need to make the best of it. Either way, here you are. And eventually, as you move forward, you will move on. If you do the work, you will heal. If you do the work, new opportunities will come. Just keep the hope in your heart. That is, as things change, you will find your way. Life will move forward at the pace that is best for you. And one day you will wake up and you will realize that you've moved on from a situation that you felt was so challenging. And you will see what you created, and you will see your new opportunities. And you might not look back and say, I'm happy that happened. You don't have to worry about that. We just need to do our best every day. Know that uncertainty is our best friend because the unknown brings good things too. And most of all, maybe the best is yet to come. Thank you for listening to this podcast today. If you'd like to get in touch with me, you could email me at allison@allisoncarmen.com. If you'd like to buy my books, The Gift of Maybe or Year Without Men, they're available at all major bookstores and online retailers. And if you like this podcast, you could subscribe and leave a comment.